Your silk screen has three parts: an inner hoop, an outer hoop, and the screen mesh. To get the inner hoop away from the outer hoop, just simply loosen up the little grippy thing by spinning the little grippy thing toward you. Now you're going to take about a 6-inch piece of tape, and on one half you're going to write your name and period, and then you're going to be folding that tape over the outer hoop, but so that the tape sticks to itself, creating almost like a little flag on your embroidery hoop. Now you're going to take your silk mesh and you're going to put it over that outer hoop where you just put your name. Now, if you happen to notice wrinkles on your silk mesh, please don't worry, we're going to end up tightening the screen. Now place your inner ring right inside of your outer ring. You're probably going to notice that your screen feels kind of loose. It doesn't feel as tight as a drum as it should be feeling. So now we've got to go through the tightening process of what this looks like. We don't want it to be loosey-goosey like that. That's going to let too much ink through. The first step in tightening our screen is tightening the little grippy thing. So you're going to actually this time spin the little grippy thing away from your body. You need to have patience as we are stretching the screens. It is a slow and steady process that involves pulling a little bit out at a time, making sure that our rings stay connected, and equally distributing the mesh around our silk screen hoop. To make sure that we are equally distributing the mesh, you start by working sort of in across the circle. You start at the top, then you go to the bottom. You go to the left, then you go to the right. You go to the top left corner, you go to the bottom right corner, and so on and so forth. After you notice your screen becoming a little bit tighter, then you start to just work in a complete circle in 360 degrees. Now you're going to be working in a cycle essentially of turn, gently tug, turn, gently tug, turn, gently tug. You get 360 of that, and then you're going to go back and tighten the grippy thing, again, going away from your body. Then you go and do again, you turn, tug, turn, tug, turn, tug, and you continue to do this until you notice that your silk screen is not like super duper tight, but is a nice tight consistency. You can see right now mine is nowhere near ready because if you notice I have a bunch of little bubbles and a bunch of little wrinkles, so I have to continue the process of gently tugging in a circle, tightening my screw. When you make sure that you're tightening that part, make sure on the left that you are holding on to it's called a washer. See how my left hand is holding the washer in place as I'm making sure to tighten the little grippy thing. Something that I want to caution you all against is being too rough with your mesh, pulling it too aggressively. It really should just be a gentle tug, and trying to do this process too quickly. It really does take a lot of finesse and a lot of time to make sure that your screen gets stretched correctly. Once you feel like your screen can't be stretched anymore, meaning when you are turning the little grippy thing and it won't let you turn it anymore, you're ready to transfer your image. If you're not sure if you're at the right stage or not, you can always ask me or Mrs. Cantrell, and we can check your screens for you. This process usually takes between 5 and 10 minutes. Now you're going to cut the excess mesh off of your screen. Just take a pair of scissors and leave about a half an inch all the way around on your mesh. Now it is time to transfer with pencil. Please make sure to not use your backwards image. That is for later. We want to use the image that is correct. So Florence and the machine is the correct orientation. You want to position your screen right in the middle with your design in the middle. I prefer to use a normal pencil for the transfer. I think that it snags a little bit less than a mechanical pencil. Now, when it comes to using your pencil, we are not pressing hard. If you press hard, you're going to poke a hole in the mesh, and guess what? You are not getting another mesh. This stuff is way too expensive. So you need to take your time. You need to use sort of a sketchy line. No matter if you did a white design or a black design, you need to start out by sketching the circle that goes all the way around your design. That's important for any type of elements that are there to make sure we know what the barrier is. I know that it might seem like drawing light's not going to actually get anything to transfer, but all we're looking for is a very light gray transfer as you see in this demonstration. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty of my awesome details here, I want to make sure that everybody understands that the images that we created with the high contrast tend to have a lot of little dots on them or a lot of weird wonky edges. That's just because of the pixelization of moving up the contrast and the brightness so much. So you can take a little bit of artistic license here and kind of smooth out some of your shapes. You can also omit some things. So I don't like the teeny tiny speckles that are in the black or the teeny tiny black speckles that are in the white. So I'm just not going to trace them. And I'm choosing to make some of my shapes that are in Florence's hair look more hair-like. So as I'm tracing through this, I'm still using where the black is and where the white is as a guide, of course, because I want a realistic looking picture of Florence, but I'm taking a little bit of artistic license with the smoothing and some of those dots that you see here. As you are transferring, it's always important to take your time. You're not in a race here. You also want to make sure, I cannot stress this enough, your pressure has got to be very light. If you press very, very hard, you're going to go right through your screen, and that's going to mess up your design when it comes to pulling the ink through the screen. If you're worried about how your tracing is looking as you're working on it, something that you can always do is stick a blank piece of paper behind your screen to see how it's going. This tracing process should take you anywhere from between 10 to 20 minutes long. When you're done tracing, you want to do a final check. So if you put just a plain piece of paper or the back of your paper underneath your screen, you can make sure that all of your designs look right. You can see here, I'm just making sure that the curve of Florence's pupils look right, and I make sure that all my little facial shapes look correct. I'm ready to block off white space.